I heard a pastor preaching that God is sending the Great Tribulation to refine the Christians through endurance. And for those who came to a correct understanding of end times and believe that the Great Tribulation will come before the rapture, they say that we Christians have to just endure through the Great Tribulation. And although it's very logical to think about fleeing from the Great Tribulation, they never talk about it. But what I like to tell you is that God is not sending the Great Tribulation to refine us. God is sending the Great Tribulation to judge the churches that do not repent from the sin of sexual immorality and idol, and to punish all the worldly churches. So this is Revelation chapter 2, verse 20. This is Jesus' message to the church of Thyatira. Nevertheless, I have a few things against you, because you allow that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit sexual immorality and eat things sacrificed to idols. Indeed, I will cast her into a sickbed, and those who commit adultery with her into great tribulation, unless they repent of their deeds. I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am He who searches the minds and hearts. So this church of Thyatira, God is pointing out the two sins, which is sexual immorality and idol. And actually, most of the churches these days, particularly, they are committing these sins of sexual immorality and idol. Because although they believe Jesus, the most of congregations, they don't follow Jesus. So they don't have the power to overcome the temptation. So they cannot get out of the slavery of sexual sin. And also, as you know, most churches, they glorify the cross, which is an idol made by human hands that symbolizes Jesus. So because of that, God will throw all those churches into the Great Tribulation. And it says here, if they don't repent, Jesus will cast those into great tribulation, and He will kill her children with death. So in the Great Tribulation, all the people of the churches, including small children, they will be persecuted with terrible tortures and into death. So all the little young children, even they will be tortured and be killed in the Great Tribulation. So it will be a terrible judgment by God. So we have to realize that the Great Tribulation is a punishment for the churches. So what should we do? So what we have to do is repent of those sins of sexual immorality and idol. So to overcome the sexual immorality, you have to not only believe Jesus, but you have to deny yourself and follow Jesus. Then you will receive the power of Jesus, as I explained in many of the videos in this channel. And then you will be able to overcome the temptation, the sexual immorality. And also, if you realize about the sins of idols, then you can talk to your pastor and see if your church repent of that sin. But if they don't repent, then you have to get out of that church. Otherwise, you will partake in their punishment in the Great Tribulation. So you have to get out of that church and find another church that God will exempt from going through the Great Tribulation. So this is Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. This is Jesus' word for the church of Philadelphia. Because you have kept my command to persevere, I also will keep you from the hour of trial, which shall come upon the whole world to test those who dwell on the earth. So when I decided to follow Jesus, God led me to start a church that will fulfill the purpose of the Church of Philadelphia. And there will be many churches in the end time that will fulfill the purpose of the Philadelphia church. So first, you can deny yourself and follow Jesus to be born again, and you will experience God's guidance in your life. And you can ask God what you can do about coming great tribulation. And God will guide you to that church. So right now, God is giving you a chance to repent so that you can avoid going through the great tribulation. So right now, as I told you in another video, now the fourth seal of the Revelation is open, and the pestilence is prophesied in the fourth seal. So right now, this COVID-19 is in the world, and we are getting very close to the Great Tribulation, because the Great Tribulation will happen when the fifth seal is open. So I wish you so that you can decide to follow Jesus and be born again and be guided by God in this end time, so that God will guide you to a church that will fulfill the purpose of the Philadelphia church and help you escape the great tribulation that is coming, so that you will be able to stand before Jesus in a rapture when He returns. I wish you blessings from the Lord.